So here we are, a different camera angle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So we left Demelza last weekend. We've done the pin wash. So all we've got to do now is finish the weathering. Now it shouldn't take too long. I reckon about maybe 25-30 minutes to get this done. Obviously I will cut in some places because you don't really want to be watching me doing this in real time. What we're going to do first is we're going to remove, I'll just get my trusty block. We're going to remove these bogey side frames. And what we're going to do is we are going to spray these matte black, because I use matte black as kind of a base coat. So what I'm going to do, out of the way, is I get a coffee stirrer and I'm going to place these bogey side frames onto this coffee stirrer, and I'm going to mix up some matte black and I'm going to spray these. If you can see what I'm doing, yeah, you can. I'm going to do these matte black first. Once you put the matte black on it, you can then put your track dirt on it. And we've already mixed up some track dirt from last week, which is in there. So I'm just going to pause you while I mix up some matte black paint. So what we're going to do now, I found the matte black paint. This is Humbrol Matte 33. I'm going to put some in here, thin it, and then what we're going to do, we're going to spray these bogey side frames matte black. So as I said to you last week, give your paint a good, I have given it a good shake already. Take the top off. Pop down there. Hang on. There we go. You don't want to put paint all over your fingers. That's the last thing you want to do. Find a spare coffee stirrer, which is there, and give your matte black paint a good old stirring. 20 to 30 seconds. You're watching this in real time because you want to get that paint nicely, what's the word, coagulated, and all them pigments all together. So take your matte black paint, pour it in there. We don't need too much, around about 1 mil, that'll do. And then we get our thinners, white spirit. I use white spirit, as you know, and I'm going to thin it to 50-50. A bit more, that'll do, that's about right. And move that out of the way, and I'm going to mix this with a cotton bud. Give it a good stirring, and what we'll do then is we will spray these bogey frames matte black as a base coat. Don't forget you're looking for the consistency of milk with your thinned paint, so you can just drag it up the side, have a look, see how it's looking. That's looking quite fine. I'm happy with that. I'll just get rid of that, pop that in the bin. Now what I do, let's make sure my compressor is on. That's a good start. I always put a little bit of thinners through the airbrush just to start, just to make sure it has been cleaned, but I just want to make sure it's cleaned through. That's absolutely fine. You can block the nozzle off and give it a backdrop. That just basically draws any old paint back, if there's any in the nozzle, and that's all fine. All right, so I'll pop that back into the thinner pot. So we're ready. We're actually ready to start airbrushing these bogey side frames. But first of all, before we even start doing that, we're just going to make sure the paint is of the right consistency by just doing a test. So what I've done here is, I always do this before I even start spraying to make sure, you know, my paint is mixed properly. I've got a bit of kitchen towel onto the cutting mat, and I'm just going to make sure this is fine. I think we've actually got the right consistency here. It's not, I would say do this every time if you change your colours, etc. Write your name if you want. There you go. That's my signature there. So now I know that that's absolutely fine and my paint is at the right consistency and thinned to 50-50. So what I can do now, I'll just move Demelza out of the way slightly because I don't want her to get any paint on her. So we've got our bogey frames, if you can see what I'm doing there, and I'm just going to give them a quick going over. I just want to take the shine off them. If you are wondering, I do have a window open behind me. I'm not poisoning myself. So we'll literally just wait for that shiny black to turn nice and matte. So I'll come back to you in a sec once that's all dry. So my bogey side frames are almost dry, ready for the next coating. So while I just wait for that just to dry properly, I'm just going to give a couple of passes of the airbrush over the fuel tanks and battery boxes. I have masked off the body and obviously the wheels. So a couple of quick passes, nothing major. There you go. And I'll obviously have to do the other side as well, but I'm just going to show you how it's done on this side. There you go, so that's the black bit done. I will obviously do the other side in a moment, but I'm just showing you one side. Obviously you've got to do both sides. So that's the bogey frames, they're now black. And the fuel tanks and battery boxes are now black. So what I'll do now is I'll just go over the buffer ends. And again, I'll do that on the other side, do exactly the same thing again. Cut quick passes, make sure it's there. That's nice and matte, nice and matte, nice and matte, and nice and matte. So what we'll do now is we will turn our attention to turning these matte black side frames into track dirt colour. So I'm just going to change the colour to track dirt. So before we put the track dirt in, we're just going to clean the airbrush through like we did before. Just make sure it's all cleaned out. Yeah, that's all fine. Get rid of that. And now we're going to change to a track dirt colour. You can see I've got my test piece of paper, tissue on there. Just make sure this is thinned properly. Absolutely fine. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll just go over the bogey side frames and the fuel tanks and buffer ends with track dirt. Right, so we've got our airbrush. We're just going to go over these bogey side frames with our track dirt colour. Maybe 2 or 3 passes, making sure you get into all the little nooks and crannies, the edges, ends. And you can actually use the airbrush to actually dry in between your coats. There you go. So they're looking nice and brown now. Okay, so I shall leave that to dry, and then I'll just turn my attention and give a couple of passes of the track dirt onto the fuel tanks and battery boxes. Just a couple of quick passes with the track dirt. And then you've got to do it all again on the other side. I mean, you could in theory leave all the bogey frames on if you want to, but I don't want to get any paint on the wheels. So what I'm going to do now is I shall remove these masked up wheels, and I shall put these brand new weathered bogey frames back on. Right, so the underframe is now done. We'll see the results of that a bit later on. So what I've now done, we're going to do the roof now. Underframe is all done. I've just masked off the body, side, front basically, because we need to concentrate on this area now. I've given it a quick wipe down to make sure there's no fingerprints on it. So what we're going to do now is turn our attention to the roof, and we're going to spray that firstly with our track dirt again. So here we go, we're off again. It's all masked off, so it's not a problem. So just a few coats of your track dirt to start with, making sure you get it in all the right places where the muck will go. And then when you're happy with that, we'll move on to turning the roof rusty. So my roof is now a nice matte black track dirt colour. So we're now going to add a little bit of rust to the roof. I use a Revel Matte 84 for rust. A lot of these older diesels tend to get rusty patches all over the roof, so we're just going to do that now. I mixed up the paint, thinned it to 50-50, and then I'll just give a few passes with the airbrush. Right, here we go. You don't go too mad, just in certain areas. These roofs do tend to get a little bit on the rusty side. Lots of people will use the weathering turntable. I personally just like kind of doing it like this, to be fair with you. So there you go, you can clearly see the changes are happening. And I'll just spin that round and just make sure it's got a good covering on the other side. I'm not going too mad, just putting rust in places where I think rust should be, especially on the fronts. Right. And then last thing I need to do is add a little bit of black around the exhaust. So that means I've got to change the colour again and then go through the same process as we did before. So that's our roof nicely weathered with track dirt and a little bit of rust. And now I'm going to put a little bit of black around the exhaust pipe. Okay, so we've changed the colour back to matte black, obviously cleaning the airbrush in between. I know I said exhaust pipe, I meant exhaust port, exhaust pipe. So I'm just going to give a couple of little squirts just around the exhaust port, exhaust pipe. I can't believe I said exhaust pipe. Not too much. Couple of nice coats. There you go. And there you have it. That's your exhaust staining, nice and easy. Don't go too mad. There's no point making your roof all black. Just a couple of little passes just here and there and everywhere. There you go. And that is the roof airbrushed. But what we're going to do to make it look even better is we're going to matte varnish the roof to make it look even better. So we'll do that next. Now before I do any matte varnishing to the roof, I've got my trusty Tamiya Weathering Master. This is getting on quite a bit now, but it's not let me down yet. And what it is, it's palettes of different colours. Now the gunmetal is your favourite. That's the one we're going to be using. So we load up your soft brush with some gunmetal and just kind of go over some of these grills, etc. I'm just going to change my glasses just to make them look a little metal, really. They make everything look more metallic. So any raised detailing, you can just give a little bit of gunmetal. I've personally been using this stuff for years now. I just love the way it highlights certain details. If I quickly turn this around, be very careful. You can then go over the, I hope you can see, yeah you can go over the cooler group, just going over that like so. And any raised detailing or hatches, just literally you'll see it just brings the model to life. Over the, I don't know if you can see that, but I'll just go that way, over the rad shutters. And indeed literally over the front. So I'll continue just to highlight this areas with gunmetal. and I'll show you what it all looks like when I've finished. Okay, so I've taken you off the tripod so you can see what the gunmetal does to the roof. Any raised detailing is now really highlighted, as you can see. And all I've done is load my soft brush, which is here, with some gunmetal, and I've just gone over any raised detailing, and it really does make the model look metal. So there's a tip for you: Tamiya Weathering Master gunmetal. There you go, a little tip from me. So what we're going to do now is we will, as we're masked up still, we will now matte varnish this roof and seal it all in, and then we'll matte varnish the body sides and just finish off the two front ends. Right, so the airbrush has been cleaned again, and we're now going to matte varnish the roof. Now I use AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish. So I'm going to pop some of that into my airbrush. It's really good stuff. And now we're just going to go over the roof of the model. And what that will do is it will flatten this down lovely. Make it look really realistic. And it's really good stuff. It's quite expensive, but it is really good stuff. And of course, you can use your airbrush just by pushing the nozzle down to dry it all off. So I'm not actually pulling the trigger back here. All I'm doing is applying air by pushing this down. And I can just go over the model. Any areas that I've missed, I can just go over again. And what this will do, this ultra matte varnish, what it will do is it will flatten this roof down lovely. So I'll just continue with that and I'll show you the results in a moment. Okie dokie guys, there you go. That's the roof matted down with varnish. You can clearly see where the gunmetal still is. You can go over it again if you want, doesn't matter, you can go over with your gunmetal. We're calling the roof done now, so what we'll do, we'll turn our attention to matting the body sides down. That'll mean masking off the underframe, and then we'll turn our attention just to the fronts. So we are getting there. Right, so here we have 47749 on the weathering turntable. Now we can see that the roof is done, the underframe is almost complete. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mask off the underframe, and I'm going to matte everything on the body side. Hence why all our windows are masked up using Maskol. So we are now going to do exactly the same thing as before, just matte varnish the body sides and the fronts. So I'm going to matte varnish one side at a time, just to show you how it's done. All the windows have been masked off, so all I need to do, and obviously I've cleaned the body side down as well of any fingerprints. I'm now going to matte the entire body side down. Because everything's masked off, it's absolutely fine. And what I'll do is I'll do each side, and then we'll just finish off by doing the fronts. So you just blast a little bit of varnish and then dry it, just using your airbrush, just by pushing the trigger in. There you go. That's looking great. Yep, happy with that. Right, I shall leave that and show you what it looks like when it's dry. Right, hopefully you can see that the matte varnish has really dulled the body side down. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to continue matte varnishing. I'm going to do both ends and the other side, and then all we've got to do is finish off the end by just giving a little bit of track dirt to the buffer beam area. Then we can see what this finished project looks like, and that'll obviously mean taking all the mascol off the windows as well, which is a laborious job. So I'll continue matte varnishing and I'll come back to you when I've done that. Right, so I've gone around the entire body side and front. It's all matte varnished. And now on to the front ends. So using a kind of a mask, I'm just going to pop that there, and a couple of coats on the buffer beam. Just dry it off. Just keep going until you're happy with it, basically. There you go. And then do exactly the same to the other end. So what I'm doing here, just to tidy everything up, I've just got a paintbrush dipped in some white spirit, and I'm just going over the ends of the pipes and the tops, just to clean up the taps, so to speak. And on the ETS as well, I can just go over that. There you go. And that's just, we're near the end now. Just got to do the other end, and then we'll put it on the old turntable and have a look at it, and we'll call it done. So we are getting near the end now. I'm just going over some minor detailing areas with the Tamiya gunmetal, i.e. around the steps where footfall has been, and then I'm just going to do the buffer shanks silver, and we're going to call that a day, and then we'll see what it all looks like now we've completed it. Right, we're nearly there, guys. Right, we're now calling this done. I have put some silver on the buffer shanks. I have removed all the mascol off the windows. You can clearly see that the model now is nicely toned down with its ultra matte finish. You can see into the cabs now, all nicely cleaned up. So yeah, I'm calling that done. I hope some of the tips you found are helpful. If you have got a spray booth, if you have got a mask, it's entirely up to you if you wear it. I've got a window open right behind me in a loft hatch, so I'm not too bad. I know I've been spraying stuff around, but I've been spraying stuff around for the last 25 years, so I think I'm fine. Obviously use your own health and safety. Stay safe. But that is how you do a JB simple weathering job and a paint fade. So there you have it. Hopefully this will all go together okay, and you all get to know how I did this. And I'll just stick it on the layout now, take a few photographs, and you can see it running down the back straight. Right, that's it. Right, got to do the outro. Got to do the outro. Hang on, something stuck to my foot. Hang on, coming in. I'm so sorry that I had to go round the back there to get this thing to work. It's a 40 quid microphone. Anyway, Milky Junior's back. Yeah, he was apparently laying at the bottom of the stairs, and he was retrieved. And he was thrown back through the loft hatch about 10 minutes ago with the mortal words, "You need to effing grow up." That's not very nice, is it? No, it's not. So poor old Milky Junior has been abused by Mrs. B. Well, Milky Junior aside, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to do it in two. I'm going to do a video about the Bachmann 37175, the review, and the Hatton's Class 66s, and the weathering job I'm going to do as a separate video. Now, I have to announce that the way I did it is not normally the way I do things. I normally use a weathering turntable. I get all the kit out, blah, blah, blah. I did it on the workbench today just for simplicity. It may look a little bit ad hoc. It may look like I'm throwing the thing around. When I edit it, I hope it all comes out okay. But please do think about your own health and safety when you're doing any kind of weathering with enamel paints and thinners, etc. I've got an extractor behind me, I've got the loft hatch open, and I've got a skylight open as well, so all the fumes are going out. I should really wear a mask, I should really be wearing, but you won't be able to hear what I'm talking about. I don't really wear gloves because my hands will sweat. Please do take your own health and safety into account when you're doing any kind of weathering. Okay, hopefully some of the tips and things that I've shown you today you can take on yourself. We've learned how to do basic weathering, we've learned how to do some fading, and obviously when you do any kind of varnishing to your model, please leave it a few days before you start handling it, because it will just, sometimes it will just flake off if you start messing around with it. So yeah, leave that to harden before you start moving your body. And do think about, obviously, if you are weathering a locomotive, if you need to get inside it to change anything, you could damage your weathering. All right, I've had this before when I used to do commission work for people. I would weather a loco for them, then they would get it back and then take the body off and say, oh, the weathering's damaged. Well, don't manhandle it. Just be careful with your model after you've weathered it. All right, so hopefully some of the tips you've seen today have been okay. Another video I will do at the end of June will be a silly video, so I'm going to warn you now, if you are a serious modeler, at the end of June there will be a video called June Madness. It's just going to be silly. All right, it's going to be silliness, dinosaurs, Bouncing Betty, and even Simon the Stingray is going to be here to do his favourite party trick, and I bet you'd like to know what he can do with that. You will find out at the end of June. Next Sunday I will be attending the North Norfolk Railway Rails and Nails event, so if you do fancy coming along to press the flesh, I will be there. Yeah, if you fancy, you know, shake of the hand, you want me to sign autographs, or if you indeed want a kiss and a cuddle, I will be there for anyone. It's just an excuse for you all to come along and say hi. You can't really miss me. I've got the guns and I've got the Harold Road polo shirt, so hopefully the weather will be okay for that, and I am looking forward to seeing the Class 69 being named as well, so that'll be quite nice, and who doesn't love a 69? Anyway, so with that in mind, any questions you have about what you've seen today in any of the videos, please just contact me. If you're on the Facebook page, thank you again for all your support, and the YouTube, thanks for all your comments about Rhubarb Grandad. He's up there, his card's up there. I think someone actually said he's looking down on you. Well, he is now, he's there. That was quite a nice touch. I like that when someone said that. That was very nice of you. Thank you very much. I can't remember your name. I do try, as I said, I do try to reply to everything. Comments come in, but sometimes I do miss them. I'm not doing it on purpose. I do try and reply to all your comments. So if I have missed you, I'm sorry about that. As I say, I'm not a faceless modeler. So until next time here at Harold Road, I'd just like to thank everyone for their support for the YouTube channel, for Facebook. All your comments are very much welcomed, especially the nice ones. I really do enjoy reading all your comments. The rivet counters have stayed away recently, so that's been good. So until next time, when the silly video will come, towards my birthday, which is on the 29th of June. I'm letting you know that now, 29th of June for my birthday. And I'll be, I will be 54. 54. Yeah, I'm getting on a bit now. So yeah, 54. And I'm going to be doing silly videos with dinosaurs, stingrays, puppets, and a child's toy that jumps up and down and says rude words. But, you know, that's what you like. Yeah, so until next time, I'll say goodbye. And from Harold Road, see you later. Bye-bye.